A woman discovered something strange while cooking. She found that the egg she was holding was completely empty. At first, she thought it was just a coincidence. So she picked up another one and squeezed it gently, but it was still empty. She crushed the whole box of eggs into pieces but couldn't find a single intact egg. But that wasn't the weirdest part. While she was cleaning the windows on the balcony, the wall behind her started moving on its own. A few seconds later, the wall squeezed her tightly. Just as she was about to suffocate, the wall miraculously went back to normal. At first, Alice thought it was just a hallucination from being too exhausted lately. So, she didn't think much of it. But when she kept cleaning the window, she noticed faint imprints left from the wall's pressure. She was left confused. It reminded her of something strange that happened when she first moved into the neighborhood. That day, all the residents gathered for a big party. Everyone had smiles on their faces, except Margaret. She said something odd.
We shouldn't be here.
But everyone just assumed she was losing her mind, because this community is known for having the highest happiness index. This man named Frank spent a huge amount of money to build this place. Every family in the neighborhood lived in a grand mansion and got a luxury car. Each man was also given an enviable high-paying job, and the requirements to join the community were simple. First, men had to work at Frank's company headquarters every day. Second, no one was allowed to go near the desert to the north. Life here was very routine. Every morning, wives watched their husbands go to work. The wives' main job was just to clean the house and then enjoy a relaxing day. Though small, the community was rich in resources. The women could enjoy a luxurious life without any worries. But a month ago, Margaret broke the rules. She tried to take her son across the desert to the north. By the time the guards found her, her son was gone, and she had started acting strangely. She said the whole community was a scam and warned everyone to leave immediately, but no one paid her any attention. They whispered that she had lost her mind after losing her son, but Alice couldn't shake the feeling that something more was going on. One morning, she couldn't hold back her curiosity any longer. She took the bus north. As she neared her destination, she witnessed a horrifying scene. A damaged plane flew by and crashed deep into the desert. Alice urged the driver to go help, but his face was full of fear. He warned her that it was a forbidden area and told her not to risk it. Determined to save someone, Alice got off the bus and made her way into the desert. But the deeper she went, the more wrong things felt. She had reached the crash site, but there wasn't a single piece of wreckage. The place was eerily desolate, filled with a sense of death. Further in, she saw a strange circular building atop a mountain. It looked like the headquarters she had seen on the map. She decided to climb up and check it out. But when she reached the top, she was surprised to find there was no one there except for a dilapidated round hut. It didn't look like the headquarters of a company at all. She couldn't imagine how many secrets were hidden here. She couldn't understand where her husband was going every day. She slowly stretched out her hands to see what was inside, but a flash of red light instantly made her lose consciousness. When she woke up, she found herself back at home in the community, and her husband was in the kitchen preparing dinner. She asked him how she got back, but he claimed that when he got home from work, he found her asleep in their room. So, Alice told him everything she had seen, but her husband insisted it had all been a dream. It was so bizarre that Alice couldn't tell if it was reality or just a dream. But on that day, she witnessed an even more eerie scene. Margaret was standing on the roof, staring blankly. Alice was about to go up and talk to her when she saw something horrifying.
No.
The sight terrified her. Before she could get closer, a security guard appeared and dragged her away. Later that night, Alice told her husband about what she saw, but he said Margaret had just fallen while cleaning the windows. She'd been treated in the hospital, and she was fine, but Alice didn't believe this lie. She couldn't understand why her husband was lying to her. So, she decided to find the truth herself. The next day, she asked her husband to bring in a doctor. While checking her health, she tried to get information on Margaret, but the doctor gave her the same answer as her husband. However, when the doctor turned to grab a pen, Alice accidentally caught a glimpse of Margaret's file. It labeled her as an extremely dangerous individual. This made Alice more certain that everyone was lying. That night, her husband invited guests over for dinner. While they were eating, Alice sat across from Frank, staring at him provocatively. Then she asked everyone 3 questions. First, she asked where everyone was from, and to her surprise, everyone was from Philadelphia. Then, she asked how they met their partners, and the answers were all eerily similar. They all took the same train, with the same details of how they met. Lastly, she asked where everyone went for their honeymoon, and shockingly, they all went to the same beach. It seemed like everyone shared the same memories, but none of them realized how serious this was. To get everyone's attention, Alice told everyone that Frank was doing something to them. She said there was no company headquarters, that the community was just a trap created by Frank to keep them here. Anyone who discovered the truth would be eliminated, and Margaret was a living example. But just as the guests started to wonder, Frank spoke up. He accused Alice of spreading baseless rumors and said she must have a delusion. At that moment, all the guests stood up and agreed with Frank, claiming that Alice, like Margaret, had lost her mind. Everyone got up and left. Her husband was also disappointed with Alice's behavior. The promotion he'd worked so hard for might now be ruined. But Alice didn't care about the promotion. All she wanted was to escape from this horrible place. She told her husband that it didn't matter where they went, as long as they were together, they could live a good life. Her husband was moved by her sincerity and finally agreed with her decision. But when they got into the car to leave, her husband hesitated to start the engine. He began apologizing profusely. And suddenly, 2 security guards appeared and dragged Alice away. Betrayed by her husband, Alice was put on an operating table where doctors prepared to erase her memories. But just as the shock treatment was about to begin, Alice remembered everything. She had once been a brilliant surgeon with a bright future. But her husband was a lazy man who only cared about playing video games. Over time, they grew apart. To keep his wife firmly by his side, the husband applied to join the Victory community. This community is actually just a carefully constructed virtual world. Here everyone can become the elite of society. Her husband was one of them. He first knocked his wife unconscious and tied her to the bed. Then he fitted her with special equipment. Finally, they logged into the virtual world together. He had to leave the system every day to maintain her energy levels and the equipment. The company headquarters on the mountain was the only exit from the system. Anyone who went there could wake up in the real world. That's why the community forbade anyone from going near it. But even though Alice regained her memories, it didn't matter. After the procedure, she was sent back to the fake community. Her life seemed to reset. Every morning, she waved goodbye to her husband as he went to work, and then lived like a robot. But what no one expected was that Alice's memory wipe didn't work. That day, while she was preparing breakfast for her husband, she suddenly collapsed to the ground. All the erased memories flooded back. Her husband tried to comfort her, but Alice recoiled in terror. She demanded to know why he had done this to her.
Took my life.
I saved your life.
It's not true.
No, listen to me.
not true.
You worked all the
I
time.
wanted to work. I loved working. What?
You were miserable. You were so unhappy. You hated your life.
It was my life. You don't get to take that from me.
I gave this to you.
Her husband showed no remorse. At that moment, Alice realized he had lost his mind. She just wanted to escape back to the real world, but her husband begged her not to leave him. In the struggle, Alice picked up a glass and smashed it against him. With one powerful strike, her husband was dead. Just then, her best friend rushed over after hearing the noise. She hurriedly helped Alice dispose of the body. She told Alice to go to the mountain headquarters and exit the system immediately, because Frank would never let her go. And anyone who died here would die in the real world too. It turned out her best friend knew everything, but she had chosen to stay in the virtual world, because she was tired of the failure and poverty of the real world. With her friends urging, Alice rushed out of the house. But by then, the system had detected her husband's death. Frank immediately ordered all the security guards to stop her. As Alice's memory fully returned, the entire system started malfunctioning. The men in the community began to panic, but Alice was in a daze, unable to believe it was real.
Go! Go, Alice! Go!
Only when she heard her best friend's voice did she snap back to reality. She jumped into her husband's car and sped toward the headquarters. Security guards chased after them in their own cars. But just as she neared the headquarters, her car broke down. She had to abandon the car and continue on foot. The guards came after her, but Alice picked up her pace. Just as the guards reached the mountaintop, Alice successfully reached the system exit and returned to reality smoothly. And that was the end of the movie. Remember, everyone's life is their own. Maybe your life isn't great right now, but only the life you experience yourself is the most wonderful. No one can take away your right to enjoy it.